I found out my best friend was in love with my girlfriend and tried to unalive me during a drunken fight. Now, my entire friend group is torn apart. My ex and I are both broken, and I don't know if I'll ever forgive either of them. I'm left wondering not only how to heal, but what to do when the person you loved most still needs your help. So, I'm Daniel, 27 male, and for over a decade, my best friend was Chris, 26 male. We'd been tight since we were 16, both obsessed with the same industry and chasing the same career dreams. Over the years, life was a grind, tons of setbacks, constant rejections, and recently, at last, I broke through. My career really began to take off this past year. Chris hasn't been so lucky. I tried to bring him along, pushed him forward every chance I could. Hell, we even lived together as roommates from 20 to 23, shared just about everything. But then something shifted about 6 months ago. Chris's whole demeanor with me took a nosedive. Every get-together, he'd zero in on me, turning me into the punchline, feeding me little shots of sarcasm and mean-spirited digs. I always figured, yeah, maybe some jealousy, maybe feeling left behind. It's a brutal field we're in. And seeing your friend hit big while you're still stuck must sting. I never held it against him, until I realized it was eating away at our friendship. Now, about my ex, Leah, 26F. I thought we were the golden couple, been together 5.5 years. We had great chemistry, both as partners and friends, always open and honest, or so I believed. She stayed by me through all those years of grinding for success, always my sounding board. I'd try to keep things fresh, date nights once or twice a week, gifts, trips, dancing, cooking classes. We did everything together. And even after my career picked up, I made it a point not to neglect her or my friends. Everything changed one night last week. Our tight-knit group, Tom, 27 male, and Katie, 27 female, who just bought a house, plus Ben, 26 male, and Zoe, 27 female, was hanging out in Tom and Katie's backyard, having some drinks. The group's been together 7 years. Chris was there and wasted no time, got drunk pretty quickly, started up with those passive-aggressive comments again. This time, after 6 months of it, I finally hit my limit and called him out. We argued, my frustration bubbled over. I pretty much accused him of being jealous, told him I couldn't help it if he wasn't as talented, and reminded him of all I'd done to give him opportunities. That was the spark. Chris lunged at me, and things got physical, pushing, shoving. Then he managed to knock me down. He kicked me in the ribs a couple of times, and then, no exaggeration, tried to stomp on my head. He missed, but his foot slammed my cheek and slipped off. Even so, my face blew up with swelling. He went for it again, trying to land a full-force stomp, but I rolled away just in time. I honestly believe he could have done serious, maybe permanent damage if he'd landed those hits. Things got even wilder, with the others jumping between us. I got to my feet, yelling if he was out of his mind. He acted like he was leaving, then snatched up a wooden plank Tom and Katie had left out from a yard project and swung it at my head. I ducked and put up my arm, catching a nasty blow to the elbow. Again, he could have killed me. He nearly hit Zoe with another swing. At that, Tom and Ben tackled him and just laid into him. Rage took over after seeing what he'd done. The girls managed to get them off him. Total chaos. Chris was left bleeding, but conscious. Katie took him to the hospital and later delivered him to his parents. She said Chris barely spoke, didn't explain or apologize. None of us slept that night, and honestly, things are a blur after that. Alcohol, shock, adrenaline. The worst night of my life, but it actually got worse from there. You probably noticed I haven't mentioned Leah during this. Well, we were all sitting around later talking about what happened, and Tom said that Chris deserved worse for trying to stomp my head in and nearly injuring Zoe. Suddenly, Leah, who'd been silent, just exploded, defending Chris, claiming he didn't deserve this, that he was just going through a hard time. Tom and Leah nearly got into a shouting match before Leah stormed off. I followed her, figuring she was just shaken up. I found her crying in the guest room. I tried to comfort her, but she barely acknowledged me. That's when it hit me. Chris and Leah had been sitting close the night before, like they had many other times. When Chris was going off on me, she was right by his side, holding his arm, begging him to go take a walk and calm down. At every point, after Chris kicked me, tried to stomp me, swung a plank at my head, her attention was on calming him, not checking on me. And when the guys finally subdued Chris, she was frantic to help him, not me. I honestly can't remember her asking if I was okay at all that night. So I asked, was she cheating on me with Chris? She broke down sobbing, repeating she never meant for it to go this far. That was all the answer I needed. I totally lost it, started yelling, demanding to know what was really going on. The others rushed in and led me away. Jane and Katie ended up driving Leah to her parents, with Jane staying over because everyone was so worried at how devastated she was. Apparently, Leah cried all the way, needed help getting up the stairs, just kept screaming she'd ruined everything. Jane told her parents about the fight and the revealed affair. That kicked off 5 days of agony for me. I was stuck in a loop, physically and emotionally wrecked. My elbow was fractured, ribs bruised, face still swollen. I texted Leah, begging for answers, but she never replied. Then, this morning, I got a call from my ex-Mill. Bless her and my ex-Phil. They're great people and have supported me a lot through the years. She was apologetic for Leah, and then told me Leah wanted to see me and talk. I agreed. At her parents' place, they gave us space but didn't leave the property. When I saw Leah, my anger and bitterness faded a little. She looked terrible, like she hadn't eaten or slept since the fight. Part of me wanted to just hug her and make it all go away. Instead, I sat down and told her to talk. She said she'd answer honestly. Turns out, Chris confessed his love to her over a year ago and kept pursuing her, even though she said she didn't feel the same way. She didn't tell me because she didn't want to blow up the friendship. She wanted to fix it herself. Lately, Chris had gotten more and more aggressive, begging her to dump me for him. They'd kissed twice, both times he initiated, apparently, and she stopped it both times. Once they cuddled watching a movie where he tried to start something physical, but she ended it and tried to set boundaries after that. Why keep meeting him alone? I demanded, if he was constantly overstepping. She said he promised he wouldn't try again, and she felt bad for him, like he was a little brother, and she needed to help him get over her. She even set him up on a date with someone else, but then sabotaged it. I told her she was just encouraging him, whether she saw it or not. She kept insisting it was like a sister-brother dynamic, just wanting to help him. But he started talking badly about me, claiming I didn't deserve her. She swore she regretted everything, never meant for it to get so bad, but by then, she felt trapped. I asked if she'd been in contact with Chris since that night. She hesitated, then cried harder and said yes. That hit me hard. I felt absolutely gutted. This guy tried to get with her for a year, then tried to kill me, and after 5 days of stonewalling me, she was still talking to him? I basically wanted to hurt her emotionally at that point, so I left. She pleaded, offered to show me the messages, swore she only checked if he was okay, then told him it was over. Whatever, she'd made her choice. After all the pain, she still contacted him. I lost it in front of her parents, yelled that their daughter had ruined my life, chose the guy who stomped on my face. My ex-Phil ended up driving me home in silence, never said a word, but gave me a supportive pat on the shoulder as I got out. Leah texted me later screenshots to prove she'd told Chris to leave her alone, that she'd never forgive him for attacking me. But honestly, after a year of secret chats, she could easily cherry-pick stuff to make herself look innocent. I didn't respond. I want to block her, but for some reason I just can't yet. I feel so disgusted and hurt, wanting nothing more than for Leah and Chris to feel the kind of pain I'm feeling. Even if deep down, I know that's not healthy. I know Leah insists nothing happened beyond those kisses and cuddling, but honestly, I have my doubts. Even if it never went further, the betrayal, her prioritizing Chris, staying loyal to him, lying to me, is overwhelming. I don't know if I'll ever forgive either of them, or why I even want to try. How does anyone move forward from betrayal this deep? I feel like I lost everything. My person, my best friend, my support. So if anyone's ever experienced being betrayed by both a partner and a friend, what do I do? How do I even start picking up the pieces and get on with my life? Update 1. I didn't update for a while because I honestly needed advice or reassurance on what to do next. A few people wanted a follow-up, so here goes, but I'll focus on the main stuff or I'll be writing forever. First, about Chris. Everyone told me to press charges, but to be honest, that wouldn't really solve anything. I talked to 2 lawyers, not US-based, and while I could file charges, the most likely outcome would be Chris having to pay trial costs and maybe a settlement. No jail time, probably a fine. My friends could testify, but unless the injuries had lasting effects, the court would mostly care about the actual damage. Chris might get probation, but if I sued, he could countersue Tom and Ben for beating him up, and they might end up worse off. So it'd be drawn out, months or years of mess, and I just want out. Chris's reputation is in the gutter. He's lost friends, and his family is disappointed, especially his younger sister, who looked up to Leah and took it hard, even refuses to speak to Chris. He sent me a long apology letter, owning up to assaulting me, but blaming some of it on his mental health. No mention of Leah. I haven't responded and don't plan to. Jane and Katie. After some comments hinting that Chris might have been abusive to Leah, I pressed Jane to tell me what she knew. Turns out, Jane and Katie knew Chris kissed Leah, but claimed they thought Leah had shut it down. They got defensive. Tom got mad at Jane for not telling him sooner, worried what else she might keep from him. Now there's tension between them, but I told Tom not to get mad at Jane on my account. Katie even apologized to me in person, said she genuinely didn't know the full extent of it, and I believed her. Leah. Most advice was to go no contact, but I'm the kind of person who needs closure. I grew up facing my problems head on, so 4 days later I reached out to her family, apologized to her parents for my outburst, and arranged to meet Leah again. Her parents forgave me. They understood how much pain I was in. Leah told the same story as before, but with more detail. Apparently, Chris threatened her when she tried to cut him off, said he'd tell me they kissed and ruin my relationship and friendship. She felt trapped. He manipulated her into silence with threats. I asked if Chris was physically abusive. She hesitated, then described 2 incidents where he hurt her wrists and bicep when she rebuffed him, but said it wasn't serious. She downplayed their physical contact again, insisted they never slept together, but admitted she never knew why she let him have so much power over her, how she couldn't just tell me the truth. I pointed out how much it hurt, that she worried about Chris during my lowest moment and not about me. She started crying, said she thought we were stronger than that, but I told her she made her choice. I explained there was no trust left and I needed to cut contact for good. She asked if we could ever be in each other's lives again, and I said no. But I still had so many doubts, so I reached out to Leah's best friend, Sarah, 27, F, desperate for any real answers. Turns out even Sarah wasn't told everything. She knew about Chris, had warned Leah to cut him off, knew about the kisses, and insisted Leah stopped it from going further. Sarah said Leah liked the emotional validation of supporting someone. When I was struggling, she got rewards from helping me. Now with Chris, she could do the same. Sarah guessed Leah was also a bit attracted to the attention, but didn't seem malicious, mostly lost, guilt-stricken, and making bad choices. She even confirmed that Leah talked about me lovingly to her, though sometimes found me a bit clingy or overbearing. Lately, I think Sarah's been flirting with me. Daily texts, memes, even a few suggestive ones. But honestly, I don't want to lead her on. I have zero interest in that direction. About 8 or 9 days ago, Leah managed to text me. I'd blocked her everywhere except her actual phone number, which I don't use much and had forgotten about. She just said, "How have you been?" Then she added she'd smiled and laughed for the first time in ages, sent a photo of me on TV, I'm in entertainment, recently got on camera, and told me she was proud. We messaged, mostly about politics, for 2 days, kept it distant, but the old connection was still there. Eventually, she asked if there was any chance I could let her be a part of my life even a little. I told her I needed more time, but probably not. I had to look after my own mental health. Then I blocked her again. Except then, last Friday around midnight, I get a knock on the door and there she is, soaked from the rain, like something out of a rom-com, only it wasn't. She said she'd been out drinking, wanted to see me, then got cold feet, and ended up stranded because she didn't want to wait for another taxi in the rain. So I let her inside, gave her spare clothes, let her change. According to her, her friends pressured her to go out, and they kept pushing guys on her, which she hated, and eventually, she just wanted to leave. But Leah was acting different, cold, distant, mostly silent, never looked me in the eye, which is totally unlike her. I ended up offering to drive her home, knowing staying the night would be a bad idea. She asked to pick the music, asked if we could hold hands one last time. Of course, I said yes, couldn't help it. She sat there staring out the window the whole time. I joked about dropping her back at the party. She barely responded. She told me she was done with men forever, said all anyone ever did was abuse her trust and manipulate her. Not sure if that was aimed at me, Chris, or both. She told me Chris had written her, asking her to run away and move with him abroad, but she trashed the letter. When we pulled up to her house, she just squeezed my hand, then left without another word. When I got home, I found her underwear in my bathroom. not in the laundry basket, but nearby. Part of me says she planted it on purpose as an excuse to see each other again. Now she has my clothes, I have hers, more lingering ties, more overthinking for me. Honestly, Leah scared me that night. She seemed almost like another person. I even wondered if she was on something. She was that different. I thought about asking Sarah if something's up, but I don't want to drag her into it. I even unblocked Leah everywhere, half hoping for a real apology. I keep looking for the old Leah, but all her social media is stripped down to the bones. No more bio, barely any photos, only one left of us from our happiest holiday. I thought I could finally move on, but now I find myself thinking about her all over again. The truth is, I miss Leah so much. For all that happened, she was always one of a kind, and as much as I want to resent her for everything, seeing her so broken just worries me. I don't want her to self-destruct or spiral into guilt. Part of me even believes Chris was emotionally abusive and manipulated her into this mess, and that makes me want to see him punished for both our sakes. But then I remember, when push came to shove, Leah consoled Chris, not me. Her turning up soaking wet, leaving underwear in my place. It feels manipulative, but then I can't help longing for the comfort of having her back in my life, even as I know it would probably wreck us both. So now, I'm stuck in this loop. Should I go total no contact and focus on healing? Reach out and get closure in person? Or even try to rebuild something? Or should I meet her? End things gently so she doesn't hate herself for the rest of her life. I don't even know what's best for her, let alone for me. If you've read this far and you've been through anything like this, please, I need your advice. Right now, all I have are questions and pain, hoping someone will help me see the right next step. That wraps up the whole story. It's striking how complicated real relationships can get. Betrayal, guilt, compassion, and indecision all tangle together. And there's rarely a clean way forward. Healing after this kind of trauma seems less about finding the right answer, more about stumbling forward and forgiving yourself for not knowing what that is. What do you think? What would you do if you were in Daniel's shoes? Cut contact forever? Or try to help your ex even after everything fell apart?